Well, there's really not too many ways that I can sugarcoat this. There has been a war to turn your children gay for over 100 years now, and it's actually being attempted again. It's funny, they say history doesn't repeat, it rhymes, but we're literally watching history repeat. In the same way, we rejected this perversion and sexualization of children and the attempt to normalize sexualizing children 100 years ago, we're rejecting it now just as fiercely. And in this video, you're going to see that the Germans and Germany itself, the Reich, are now vindicated because the exact same things that the same measures they took to protect their children 100 years ago in Weimar, the same things are happening now in places like Tennessee, where we are now firing the directors of libraries who were sneaking in literature to pervert and groom your children into being a part of the homosexual community. Now, you might ask, why would they want to do that? It's because you don't watch my channel. I explain this to people every single day. There is a war that is happening. The goal of this war, at the end of it, is the goal of all wars. They want less of you, more of them. But in this case, it's a complete depopulation agenda. If your children are confused about their sexuality, if they are gay, if they are trans, if they are binary or anything like that, they are never going to grow up, get married, have children, and become, adults, normal humans that are going to procreate and keep our species going. The basic values of being human are being removed. The things that humans traditionally do, like we couple up, we pair up into marriages, we start families and have children. The basic aspects of being human are being removed from the West. And then you see these wars in Iran and with Russia. Those are countries that are not struggling with their children's sexuality. Those countries, the people are still getting married. In those countries, the people are still getting children. Only when they become perverted by the propaganda from the West are they thinking to themselves, being a mother is akin to slavery. Being a wife is some form of control, and they don't want to be mothers or wives no more. They don't want to be humans. They don't want to be women. They want to be gay. They want to be all these other sick things that we have been fighting against for a millennium. So I'll give you these examples to show you what we're talking about. But even if you're not a part of the fight right now, but you do have kids, understand this. There are those of us who are out here fighting on behalf of your children in your stead, because the future means a lot to us. Most people are sometimes too preoccupied with today. They're not considering tomorrow. But then there are those of us who live 6 months and 6 years from now, and we see where things are going and we want them to go in a different direction. We won a lot of ground today. This was a huge, massive victory for us. And we'll go over it in this video. So take a listen.
Breaking tonight, a wild scene inside the Rutherford County Library Board meeting.
The library director is now without a job. We break down what happened.
Chaos and commotion. The decision followed a tense and at times heated meeting, with board members openly clashing over policy and how library material should be classified.
What you decide what we were going to determine, but that's not your job. As a board, you're there to lead this board, not to tell us.
At the center of it all, whether 190 books belonged in the children's section or should be moved to adult shelves. The board recently ruled the books had to be moved, but the library director refused. Supporters of the director argue libraries should protect access and leave decisions to professional staff.
And now she is refusing to comply with the board's most recent order because it violates patrons' First Amendment rights. She is so dedicated to the Constitution and the freedom to read that she's willing to lose her job over it.
While others say the issue is about what is appropriate for younger readers.
The law was made to protect the most vulnerable, which is children. Follow the law. Protect the children. Hold the line.
In the end, the board sided with the removal of library director Luanne James. Though,
now, if you take a look at this woman, she is gay. You can look at these activist judges, these activist lawyers, these women that are Democrats, the ones that work in politics. They have a completely separate agenda than you and I as Americans. You have to understand who and what your enemies really are and what their goals are. They don't have children. They can't have children. They need yours. They recruit for their army. They recruit to replenish their ranks from your household. So it's imperative that they get to your child as young as possible, preferably kindergarten, preschool. They will introduce drag queen story hour. They will bring them books like Gender Queer that will make them question their sexuality and think about sex, which is abnormal to be a sixth grader thinking about such things. They want to pollute and pervert the minds of your children because later on they will be able to get those children to turn against you and join them. Now, we've watched it happen over the years. In universities, they're making a lot of headway. You'll send your beautiful daughter off to a university. She comes back a year later with piercings, septums, blue hair, and she hates you. She's white herself, but she sees her parents as racist, evil white people, and you will never have grandchildren, which is ultimately the goal. By the time she realizes she was brainwashed and tricked into this lifestyle, well, she's in her 40s. She can no longer have children. She passed the age of finding a husband, and her relationship with her family's been destroyed. We've watched this play out over and over again. A lot of people are opting to no longer send their children to these brainwash clinics, oftenly referred to as universities, because of the outcome. It's not in your favor. You didn't send your children to these institutions and pay that money for them to be destroyed mentally. You sent them there to learn so they can join the workforce, not to become activists. But you got to understand there are people like this person on this board, this woman with this haircut. That's what they're there for. They don't have their own children. They need yours. So that's why this was such an amazing day, and this was such a beautiful thing to watch happen. We stood up against her. She was fired. Fired. Should she be brought up on criminal charges? Absolutely. She is a sicko. She is a part of the perversion. She is promoting the pedophile agenda. See, if you muddy the waters enough and the court or the police say, well, the kid's gay and they're dealing with an older person who's gay and they're both consenting, even though one's underage. Now there's like these new ways they're trying to interpret the law where they don't want to consider that as statutory rape. They don't want to put those people on the sex offenders list because that community is being disproportionately, affected by law. So instead of changing the culture of your community where you're not preying on children, you want to instead change the law. We're Americans. We cannot tolerate that. We won't tolerate that. People like me, we make videos, we make content, and we talk about it. So did Charlie Kirk. And we see where that got him. All of a sudden, a bunch of gays and blacks hate Charlie Kirk, and you're wondering, what did he do to you? Well, he talked about your agenda. The one where you guys convert kids. That's what he spoke about. He brought it up on college campuses and exposed the agenda. People hated him for it. Trump famously did the same, and they hated Trump for it too. So you see a pattern. You see that there is an open agenda for anybody who speaks out against targeting children. Because at the end of the day, all of this, even our wars, are about having, you're basically fighting because there are people who eventually want access to your children, and they're fighting against people that are trying to prevent them from having access to your children. It's just that just because you're not fighting in the war or you don't acknowledge the war, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It is. So that's why we're here. We're doing the best we can, but you're not going to know about this fight. You have to take care of your family. You're not as involved as people like me, but it's my job to read the news to you. It's my job to explain to you what is happening and to present to you the evidence. See, I'm not like these people that are trying to destroy Cesar Chavez. I'm actually giving you the evidence and making my case and explaining, showing you why. I'm not just telling you, oh, this happened a million years ago. Believe me. Yeah, a dinosaur in Jurassic Park 500 million years ago bit somebody and their great-great-granddaddy actually is a billionaire. They owe me money. We're not telling you faraway things. We're actually showing you the evidence. But it's funny, the left, the Democrats, the gays, they love to throw around the word Nazi. They want you to think that that Nazis, that's they want that to be an insult. But when you look at what's happening right now, the issue is the literature they were trying to bring in, expose children to. The parents are rejecting it. This is equivalent to book burning, because those books are going to be removed from these libraries and they will be properly disposed of. The reason this woman's being fired is because she was bringing in these books. She can't be trusted around children. Now, this is not the first time in history that this has happened. Actually, this is normal.
Nazi book burning took place in 1933. Nazis raided the Berlin Institute of Sexology, founded by Magnus Hirschfeld, who was a gay and Jewish sexologist and physician. Nazis seized all books from the institute and publicly burned them, destroying material on transsexualism, homosexuality, and gender identity.
The exact same freaking books. Gender ideology, transgenderism, homosexuality, the exact verbatim books. Same ones. The same context, just reprinted 80 years in the future. And they're literally trying to give them to your kids. The same people from 100 years ago. We fought them then. We're fighting them still now, even if you don't know about it. The exact same books. I'll play it again. What books did the Germans, when they raided the libraries, what books did they burn? We will play it one more time. Remember, Magnus Hirschfeld was the man behind the creating these institutions that were sexualizing children and pushing the gay, trans, and basically depopulation ideology into the German population at the time. But now Berlin is the entire United States, and we're fighting. And we're winning. We're going to win because we don't have a choice. If we lose everything. Look around in the United States. There are no more kids. Your wife is a feminist. Your son is gay. They're not making children anymore. That's not a thing. Families are no longer a thing. Why is that? Well, look no further. But I'll let her tell you again, because they were the same thing they were doing to kids then. Same thing they were doing to kids here. So I'm going to let them play this video one more time so you can see what the dispute is over. So they're going to explain to you what the dispute is over. Then you're going to see what Magnus Hirschfeld was working on. Take a listen.
What we were going to discuss tonight in terms of youth council, but that's not your job. as a board. You're there to lead this board, not to tell us.
At the center of it all, whether 190 books belonged in the children's section or should be moved to adult shelves. The board recently ruled the books had to be moved, but the library director refused. Supporters of the director argue
look at her, a lesbian, a gay person, same as Magnus Hirschfeld. And just like Magnus Hirschfeld, this person preyed on your children and they were fired, and this person should be brought up on criminal charges, in my opinion. But see, then again, people like me are not in charge yet for a reason. Because there's going to come a time where you're going to beg for someone like me to restore sanity and order, to protect you, to protect your children and your family from those who live amongst us that wish to do them harm. We're not all the same type of Americans. There are those of us who have citizenship, who were born here, speak English. Doesn't make you an American. There are those who wish to destroy our country and to take your children from you and destroy their lives as well, and to remove any resemblance of our historical traditional values. And we're fighting to conserve them. That's all it means to be a conservative. You're just not gay. That's all you have to be. So again, she wanted to bring in books that the parents were saying, we don't want this trash being given to our children. We want these books burned. They don't belong in a library. They belong in a fireplace or a furnace. These books are to pervert children. They have them. The books are so graphic that they're not even, the parents try to read them at school board meetings out loud, and they are censored because the books are so disgusting. The content, teaching your children that boys can kiss each other and all these different types of extremely disgusting sexual acts that they show for these kids. I mean, you wouldn't even believe that this would even be happening. You would think that in a country like the United States, these people would all be whisked away and buried under jails, but that's not the case anymore. The waters are too muddy. Just like you have this gay woman librarian, there's gay women activist judges everywhere. They're not prosecuting this enough. They're going to have to be removed also. Governor DeSantis has just removed an activist judge in Florida. They're going to have to do it to the rest of them as well. I hate to use the word, but we're going to need a reset for sanity. But listen, this is the books that she was promoting in her. She refused to remove the books because she's Magnus Hirschfeld. And then look at how they parallel. Watch.
libraries should protect access and leave decisions to professional staff.
And now she is refusing to comply with the board's most recent order because it violates patrons' First Amendment rights. She is so dedicated to the Constitution and the freedom to read that she's willing to lose her job over it.
So basically, she's saying that pornography should be constitutionally protected. She was one of those people that would make the argument that dirty magazines that you would have to cover up inside of liquor stores because children are in the stores as well, that actually those dirty magazines should be in libraries and children should have the access to read those as well, and those books should not be censored. She's a sicko. Censorship is necessary at a certain point because you cannot expose children to such things because it can adversely affect their mental development. We've seen the results. We have 50, 60 years of case study. We have 20 years of internet. We all have seen the results of sexualizing children early and the adverse effects that it has on their development into adulthood and some of the habits they pick up from it. You can't do it. It's harmful. And this is how it's been throughout human civilization since humans have lived here. And they want to change what it means to be human. So that's what she's getting fired for, because these are the books that she wants to put into the library. She refused to remove them when they voted that they had to go. And what was Magnus Hirschfeld working on?
Was a gay and Jewish sexologist and physician. Nazis seized all books from the Institute and publicly burned them, destroying material on transsexualism, homosexuality, and gender identity.
Transsexualism, homosexuality, gender identity, verbatim, the exact books that they are removing from these libraries in Tennessee, and why that librarian was fired, because she refused to remove those sick books, those books that were created initially by a man by the name of Magnus Hirschfeld. Do you see the parallel? What this means is that the Germans of 100 years ago have now been vindicated, because here in the United States, where they're trying to use the word, where they say, oh, that's an insult, you're doing what the Nazis did, they burned those books. But yet our decisions on what we want to do and how we want to protect our children parallel that the Germans of those days. The Germans are vindicated. We're doing exactly what they did. We want to protect our children from that sick literature. The Germans are vindicated. That ruling, that librarian being fired, the parents, the staff, everyone coming out and saying, hey, we don't want this types of books on transgenderism, gender ideology, homosexuality. We don't want our children exposed to that. That's exactly what the Germans said 100 years ago. Rightfully so.
They also burned pornography as it was considered sexually degrading and immoral. Nazis believed pornography was harmful to society. They believed family and cultural values had been replaced by moral decay.
Everything I just described is exactly how so many of us feel about what's going on today.
This is a speech at the first book burning. Yes to decency and morality in family and state. Here, the intellectual foundation of the November Republic is sinking to the ground.
And, some people, they don't understand that you can take out the good and leave the bad, or take out the bad, leave the good. Listen to what she said. They were trying to protect families. People don't understand. Once you convert a child into being trans or gay or into one of these weird sexual sects, they are no longer going to have children. They will not have a family. The family aspect is over. It's done. Suicide is typically by the age of 34. That means they don't live very long. They don't get old. There is no future. So we're here to protect children and protect their future. We know this because we look at the survivors of abuse in the Catholic churches, and a lot of these young men, they self-delete. There's women right now in Europe and in Canada that have been victims of sexual abuse or sex crimes. They're opting for maids because they can't live with the shame and the guilt. They are asking for medical assistance and suicide dying. It all leads to death. Pushing those books on children leads to them dying early. It's about taking out your children so they cannot live a full life and they will never reproduce. The Germans have been vindicated. The Germans did the right thing. And so are we. So are we. Yes, I'm live on YouTube right now. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know it's 5 a.m. And again, these are not sometimes topics people like to hear about. A lot of people don't know that that's what's going on. So I'm here to explain it. There was a little bit of symbolism. I'm going to probably try to get that blurred out because YouTube is sensitive, but it's history. I'm showing the symbolism to refer to historical context. So I'm explaining how history is repeating and the parallels, not to promote an ideology, but to explain how some aspects are repeating and why. So that's why I'm here. I'm having this conversation. Again, this was an amazing ruling today. I don't give a damn if this movie's monetized or not. I don't do this for money. I do this for awareness, and I do this for tomorrow. I have to live here. The bad decisions people make today eventually affect my bottom line in the future. I'm trying to help people make better decisions, but also to understand what's happening around us. I was just like everybody else not too long ago. I didn't know anything that was going on. And I wanted someone to have these conversations with me. I couldn't find anybody, so I decided to have these conversations myself. And there are people who are looking for me to talk to them and explain to them what's going on. So I go over these nuanced topics. I appreciate you guys all being here. If you can, come over to YouTube. We're on 8 different platforms right now, but we're on the Rico Limbaugh channel, like Rush Limbaugh, but it's Rico Limbaugh. And I'm on YouTube. If you can come over, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll be up to date. I do these videos. I do about 4, maybe 5 videos per day, different topics. So I appreciate you guys all for your support. Again, the Germans have been vindicated. You know, I used to live in Germany. I don't live there anymore because the globalists have taken over and Europe is cooked. And I can't live there anymore. I can't even go visit because it'll be just my luck. I'll be there to visit for a week. And in that week will be another incident like the Nord Stream or, you know, a false flag where they're trying to bring Germany into the conflict against Iran. And, you know, what if they're making an example out of my home city, with the city I live in, Frankfurt? You just don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I'm staying here in the Western Hemisphere. I'm in the United States. It's safer here. We have oceans. But a lot of these people in, you know, other parts of the world, they're all connected by land. You can drive from Tehran to Frankfurt. There's land connecting these places. Not so much here in the West Coast. Not so much here in the Western world. Over here across the oceans, we're pretty much protected. You know, all we got to worry about is some Canadian moose or maybe some Mexican chihuahuas. Other than that, you know, we're pretty much safe here. But again, these conversations are important. I try to have these with you. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I appreciate your support. I'll be back on with another topic in about 20 minutes. So remember, it's America first and America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.